Archangel Michael says, "The sky above you splits like a curtain and a single beam of living light pours through. Your name travels on that light, thunder soft and gentle as a whisper, and every syllable knows the shape of your heart. Heaven bends closer, urgent and steady, because time is thin and the message is burning to be heard. You feel the room change even if nothing moves, like the air remembers a song you used to hum. The walls grow quiet, the clock grows louder, and the next 3 minutes begin to glow with sacred heat. A path opens inside the silence, and at the end of that path someone you love is waiting. They have crossed oceans you cannot draw, yet they stand within reach of your spirit. Their eyes are wet with the kindest tears you have ever known, tears that rise from the deep wells of memory and promise. They raise a hand that once calmed your storms, and the light pours through their fingers like dawn through leaves. A soft hush gathers at your shoulders, and it knows your burdens by name. It lifts the weight without asking, because heaven has already seen the nights you carried it alone. The hush becomes a wing, and the wing becomes a doorway that opens when you breathe. You step forward in your heart, and the doorway steps toward you in return. The distance between you and the voice collapses like paper folded into a secret letter. The letter is addressed to you in writing that glows with warmth you can feel but cannot smudge. 3 minutes is not a long time, and yet it is everything right now. Time counts like a heartbeat in your palms, steady, certain, faithful. Each second is a pearl of light rolling toward your feet, asking only to be gathered. A fragrance you recognize fills the air, maybe a favorite flower, maybe the soap from mornings you miss. It arrives with the gravity of truth and the tenderness of home. The fragrance says what words cannot, that love can cross the distances life never measured. You hear footsteps that belong to memory, not to fear. They are unhurried even within the urgency, because love knows exactly where to find you. They stop beside your name, and your name becomes a lamp. The lamp reveals a table that is not of wood or stone, but of moments held and kept. On that table lies every time you wished for one more conversation, one more smile, one more minute. Now those wishes rise like small lanterns toward the ceiling of heaven. The loved one who has crossed lifts one of those lanterns and holds it close. Their tears are not heavy like sorrow's rain, but bright like gratitude's river. They do not want you to ache, only to hear, to receive, to be warmed. The room folds around you like a cloak you needed and finally found. It smells like your childhood and your courage at the same time. Courage is not a shout tonight, it is your steady breathing while the message arrives. You feel a hand on your shoulder that your skin cannot catch, yet your spirit does not miss. It is a touch that lives beyond distance, and it steadies you like a lighthouse steadies a sailor. You realize you have always been watched over, even when you felt unseen. The voice begins, and it is familiar enough to make your ribs ache with longing. It wraps around your name like a promise wrapped around a ring. It says you are not alone and you never were, not even once, not even briefly. You remember a laugh from years ago and it returns exactly as it was. It touches your ears and you feel it in your chest, the way you always did. The laugh becomes a key and the key opens the part of you that knows how to hope. Hope is not a fragile thing tonight, it is iron wrapped in silk. It does not shout, it stands and holds. It makes a place for you to rest while the message finds its words. Listen, because the next lines are being written in the air above your head. Each word flickers like a candle and refuses to go out. The letters are warm and they know your story already. The message says that grief is a river you have crossed with more strength than you knew. It says that love is the bridge you walked, and heaven is the shore you glimpsed without knowing. It says your tears did not fall into emptiness, they watered a garden you will one day see. You are reminded of promises you made to yourself when the nights felt heavier than mountains. You kept those promises more often than you remember. Heaven kept count when you could not, and the count is a hymn that now carries your name. The voice tells you that forgiveness does not erase truth, it releases it to breathe. It lets the past be real and still lets you be free. Freedom looks good on you, even on days you forget you are wearing it. There is guidance now, not vague or distant, but specific like a handwritten map. The first turn is simple, the second feels braver, the third opens into sunlight. You realize the map ends not at a door but at your own reflection, brighter and steadier. The loved one asks you to keep something small and radiant near you. Maybe a photo, maybe a ribbon, maybe a phrase they used to say. Keep it like a candle in a window, so heaven can find you with ease when you feel far away. You are told to drink water and rest more deeply than you allow. Sacred things happen when you sleep and angels are not loud about their work. They stitch the edges of your days so you do not unravel where you cannot see. You are told to write one note of kindness with your own hand before the week turns. Handwriting teaches the heart to listen, and listening invites miracles to sit beside you. The miracle will arrive in a shape you recognize without fear. You are told to trust the small nudges that feel like gentle wind behind your knees. That wind is not random, it remembers your path better than you do. It will not push you into harm, it will carry you toward what fits. The loved one speaks your full name now with the affection only they used. They place a blessing on your forehead that feels like sunlight through leaves. The blessing says that your future is not a cliff, it is a field. Walk the field with the curiosity you once saved for others. Let it belong to you without apology, because heaven does not ration joy. Joy is a river with your house at its bend. You are given permission to lay down the heaviness that tried to become your identity. You are allowed to be light without betrayal, soft without danger, brave without noise. Your softness is not weakness, your gentleness is not absence, your tenderness is not a flaw. The voice admits that leaving hurt, but not because love ended. It hurt because love was larger than the moment could hold. Now love has the room it deserves, and that room is wide enough for both of you. Your name is sung once more, and it sounds like morning rising on a day you will enjoy. The song is not for performance, it is for healing. It knots together the frayed pieces with threads you cannot break. You are encouraged to step away from the shadows that pretend to be safety. Familiar does not always mean faithful, and you know the difference in your ribs. Choose what steadies you, and you will also choose what grows you. The message reminds you that your compassion is medicine, not debt. Give it without turning yourself into a wound. The healer does not have to bleed to prove the medicine works. A door swings open in the distance, and you realize it is one you have knocked on for years. It opens now because you are finally carrying the right key. The key was your willingness to be loved, even by yourself. There is a name you almost forgot to bless, and it is your own. Say it softly in your heart like a vow made in a quiet chapel. Let the vow be simple, that you will treat yourself as someone you are responsible for protecting. The loved one presses a memory into your hands, and it glows like a coal that warms, not burns. It will keep you steady on cold mornings and calm on loud nights. You can carry it without fear because it was always yours. The light around you grows tender at the edges, because the message is almost complete. It does not end with a door slamming, it ends with curtains opening. Beyond those curtains, the day you need is already prepared. Archangel Michael calls your name once more with the clarity of a bell. The sound moves through every locked room inside you and opens the windows. Air arrives, fresh and bright, and you remember what deep breathing feels like. The next 3 breaths belong to you, but they are wrapped in heaven's hands. With the first breath, let go of what cannot return to you. With the second, welcome what has waited patiently at your threshold. With the third breath, hear the loved one speak the words you needed and feared. They tell you they are at peace, and that peace is large enough to share. They place that peace inside your chest and smile the smile you thought you lost. They say you have permission to be happy in a way that does not betray the past. Your joy will honor them better than your sorrow ever could. Your living will be the monument, not stone and not silence. They promise to meet you in the simple places whenever you need them. In the steam of a morning cup, in the hush before sleep, in the laughter that surprises you at a red light. These are not accidents, these are scheduled mercies that find you on time. They ask you to keep your heart open to small wonders that arrive like unannounced guests. Let them sit, let them speak, let them teach. Wonder is the language angels use when words grow heavy. The light begins to lift, but not to leave. It folds itself into the corners of your day like a tucked blanket. It will be there when you return, the way home is always there even when you wander. A final touch brushes your cheek, dry and warm and real. You know who it is without needing proof, because your soul keeps better records than your mind. You whisper a thank you your lips barely form, and heaven hears it like a bell. The room returns to itself, but it is not the same room. It is brighter by several shades only your heart can measure. The next minutes will carry the echo of what you just received. Carry this echo like a compass that refuses to shake. Let it point you toward rest, toward courage, toward the work that is truly yours. Let it turn you gently away from what pretends to be yours and steals your hours. You have stood in a doorway between worlds and learned that love survives crossings. You have heard a voice that distance could not silence. You have been chosen again, not by accident, but by the design that knew your name before the first dawn. Now move gently, because power walks softly when it is real. Speak kindly, even to yourself, especially to yourself. Choose the small faithful act in front of you and the large miracle will take care of its own timing. The blessing that was placed on your forehead spreads like warm light behind your eyes. It travels down into your chest and out through your hands. Everything you touch today will remember that warmth. Archangel Michael finishes the call with a promise that does not waver. Angels will walk with you, not as shadows but as steady companions at your shoulders. Your days will notice, and your nights will change their mind. If you listen closely, the clock has softened and the room breathes with you. You have more than enough time to do what matters and to lay down what does not. You are held, you are led, you are safe. The message does not vanish, it settles. It organizes itself like stars taking their places in a sky that belongs to you. Whenever you need to look up, they will be where you can find them. Walk forward now with the certainty of light in your pocket. Whisper the truth to yourself the way the loved one just did. Let that truth be your map, your meal, your music. You have reached the end of these 3 minutes and discovered they are a beginning. Begin with tenderness that does not apologize for shining. Begin with the knowledge that heaven speaks your name and means every letter. Begin with the memory of the voice you love, alive in a way that outlives endings. Begin with the comfort that arrived when you needed it most. Begin with the quiet conviction that the door between you is not locked, only gently closed. When you are ready, place your palm over your heart and breathe in the light that remains. Feel how completely it knows you and how gently it plans to stay. Step into the day as if it were made with you in mind, because it was. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. The light that settled in the corners of your day begins to move like a tide that knows your name. It does not rush, it arrives with assurance, placing warmth where the chill once nested. You feel your shoulders lower as if an invisible hand reminded your bones that rest is allowed. You carry the memory like a lantern tucked under your ribs. It throws a soft radius around each step and keeps your fear from walking ahead of you. The more you move, the more the path reveals itself as if the road were being written by your courage. Morning greets you and notices the change. The cup in your hand steams a little brighter, and the ordinary chair becomes a small chapel. This is how miracles behave when they love you, unpretentious and faithful. The loved one's voice lingers the way a melody lingers after the last note. It threads itself through the hinges of your daily routine so nothing squeaks with dread. The day is still the day, but now it cooperates. You open a window and breathe out a heaviness that does not return. The neighborhood sounds are gentler, even when they are loud, because your heart is no longer bracing against everything. A stillness takes the middle seat and refuses to move. You collect small signs like shells along a beach made of minutes. A feather appears where no bird should be, and you smile without needing a reason that can be measured. Gratitude becomes your first language again. You choose one drawer to tidy, not because it matters to the world but because order invites mercy. The neatness becomes a quiet altar to the part of you that can begin. Beginning is a sacrament you are now willing to receive. A memory tries to tug you toward sorrow with sticky fingers. You honor it without letting it steer, and the tug dissolves like salt in warm water. You keep walking, and the road keeps agreeing. There is an old photograph you used to avoid. You take it out and let the faces breathe. What once cracked you now completes you in a deeper way. Peace learns your schedule and arrives on time. It sits beside you while you write, while you cook, while you cross streets you used to hesitate at. Presence becomes the architecture of your hours. You place your hand on your chest and feel the rhythm that never abandoned you. It beats with the steadiness of a promise spoken by someone who meant it. You are safe inside the converging circles of love and purpose. The loved one's blessing begins to bloom in practical directions. A phone call you feared turns gentle and productive. A task you avoided becomes simple once treated like a friend. You notice the way sunlight folds across the floor and think of the doorway you crossed. The world is not less real because heaven touched it. It is more real, more honest, and more willing to cooperate with your hope. You write a single sentence in a notebook and it reads like a vow. The ink dries quickly as if the paper is eager to keep you. Vows change rooms, and this room changes with you. The voice of fear tries to rehearse its old lines, but the new script is stronger. You do not argue, you simply live the next right sentence. Living becomes the answer fear cannot refute. Archangel Michael says you have been picked up by the river of right timing. The current is not reckless, it is accurate and kind. Let it carry you past the coves of hesitation where you used to anchor. You decide that old guilt will not be your weather. You fold it like a coat you no longer need and put it in a box labeled finished. The horizon brightens because you chose to travel light. A door you thought was only for others stands open with your name at eye level. You step through with the quiet boldness of someone who finally believes they're belonging. Belonging is an inside job that changes the locks on your fear. You meet a friend and speak from the unshaken place. The conversation lands on soft ground and grows a garden where you both can rest. Healing is contagious when love leads. Your nights become less crowded with echoes that used to startle you awake. Dreams arrive that do not punish, they instruct with gentleness and exactitude. You wake remembering solutions instead of scenes. The loved one shows up in the angles of the day you least expect. A song on a passing radio completes an unfinished sentence in your heart. Completion feels like exhaling after years of holding air. You clean the mirror and see the person they always saw. The light on your face is not a trick, it is the honest consequence of being loved well. You nod to your reflection with new respect. In a quiet hour, you open a small box where keepsakes sleep like warm coals. You hold one item and feel its weight transform from ache to anchor. Anchors are not prisons when they hold you in the right harbor. You prepare a meal with attention that tastes like prayer without words. The ingredients seem to recognize each other and shake hands in the pan. Nourishment is a conversation your body understands. You step outside and the air greets you by name. Even the wind chooses not to clutter your thoughts. Weather learns its manners when the soul refuses storms that are not its own. A letter arrives that you were not expecting, and it is kind. The news does not rescue you because you are not stranded, but it cooperates with the rescue already underway. Providence is punctual because it has your calendar. A small task becomes sacred because you decide it will be. Folding laundry turns into an act of love for the person you are becoming. Every soft shirt is a promise laid gently over your shoulders. You organize your finances with calm clarity. Numbers lose their sharp edges when held by steady hands. Provision finds you because you stopped hiding from it. An idea that once scared you now feels like a room you can furnish. You place a chair called courage in the corner, a lamp called discernment by the window, and a rug called patience over the floor. The room becomes livable because you intend to live in it. You remove a boundary that was actually a wall and replace it with a true boundary that breathes. Space and closeness find their proper distance around you. Love respects the lines that love draws. Your steps grow rhythmic as if the ground has learned a song you forgot. The city cooperates, the countryside cooperates, the hallway cooperates. Cooperation feels like blessing disguised as logistics. The loved one's guidance arrives as a sequence of small green lights. None of them roar, all of them gleam. You follow their soft instruction and arrive without forcing. You take a walk where trees keep quiet promises with their shade. The path bows slightly and lets you pass as if recognizing a traveler on holy business. Holiness is not rare, it is simply unafraid to be ordinary. An apology you needed to deliver finds its words without self-punishment. The receiver drinks it like cool water, and both of you exhale. Bridges are brave when built from truth. You rest without earning it because rest is not a wage. Rest shows up as a friend with a spare key and lets itself in. Your dreams align with your daylight like well-behaved constellations. A memory tries to turn sharp but becomes round instead. Grief learns your boundaries and agrees to meet you on kinder terms. You carry love, not the wound. You decide to start something at a small scale that honors your larger vision. The smallness is not a compromise, it is a seed. Seeds are the most confident things in the world. You open a book and the sentence you land on salutes your progress. You underline it not to trap it, but to let it echo longer. Echoes are bridges made of sound and certainty. Your home takes on the fragrance of relief. Doors close softly, drawers open smoothly, footsteps choose patience. Peace is the decorator that never sends an invoice. You say your name with dignity and watch the day adjust its posture. The emails answer more easily, the errands stop shouting. Life responds to someone who remembers they are loved. You stand at a window during the blue hour and count good things with the accuracy of devotion. The count grows until numbers feel too small to hold the meaning. Meaning overflows into the next day by design. The loved one visits your memory again, and this time the tears that gather are restful. They cool your cheeks like evening rain after a long summer. Rain does not apologize for how gentle it is when gentleness is what the ground needs. You write a note for the future and leave it where your hands will find it. The note is simple and honest, like a lantern placed on a map. Later will thank you for the light you left. A threshold appears that looks like your front door and also like the edge of a lake. You cross it with the ordinary courage of someone who buys bread and chooses kindness. Ordinary courage is the rarest kind because it works every day. You place your palm over your heart and feel the warmth answer. The warmth is not sentimental, it is structural. It is the architecture of a life built on love that survived the crossing. A small laughter escapes you while washing a dish, and it surprises the room. The room smiles back the way familiar things do when they are relieved to be useful again. Usefulness is joy wearing a work shirt. You bless your calendar without crowding it. White space becomes part of your devotion, not a mistake to be filled. Spaciousness is a teacher that never raises its voice. The road ahead does not demand spectacle. It asks for fidelity, attention, and the light touch of gratitude. You deliver all three like letters placed gently in a mailbox. You remember the touch on your shoulder and walk as if it were still there. Stability companions you like a dog that understands your pace. Companionship ends loneliness without needing noise. A new opportunity knocks, and you open with the same soft certainty that opened heaven's door. The threshold blesses your ankles as you pass. Blessings love momentum and honesty. You place a quiet candle by a framed picture and feel the room agree. The flame steadies, a small vertical promise that refuses to tremble. Promise becomes the climate of your home. You choose your words with the care of a gardener placing seedlings. Conversations flourish instead of fray. Connection follows cultivation the way morning follows dawn. You remember the instruction to drink water and rest well. You follow it as if following a map etched on your own wrist. The body thanks you with the efficiency of grace. A letter to yourself begins with tenderness and ends with resolve. You fold it and tuck it where courage can borrow from it. Courage loves a library and you are building one. The horizon you walk toward is no longer blank. It carries the soft handwriting of heaven and the steady footprints of someone you love. Between the two, you find your stride and keep it. The day tilts toward evening and nothing in you panics. Night does not threaten, it invites. You lie down as if the bed were a boat and sleep were a harbor with your name on the pier. Dreams keep their promise and morning repeats its kindness. The cycle becomes a spiral that lifts rather than a circle that traps. Upward is no longer a direction you fear. You live like someone who knows the window stays open even when curtains are drawn. You work like someone who believes help is real. You rest like someone who belongs where they are. When reminders of loss arise, you answer them with the presence that now fills your chest. Presence wins because it is here and because it is honest. Honesty keeps you warm from the inside out. You nurture a small generosity that fits your hand and your budget. It travels further than you expect because love multiplies what it touches. Multiplication is what grace does when it meets a willing heart. Your steps, your words, your breath, your sleep, your waking, your work, your laughter, your tears, all align beneath the banner of a promise kept. The promise is that love outlives endings and continues its appointments on time. You are on the calendar of mercy and the reminders always ring at the right hour. The loved one's voice closes the distance with a final whisper that feels like sunlight through an open window. It tells you that peace is now a resident, not a visitor. You nod and feel the room nod back because everything in your life has started agreeing with hope. The day lays its head on your shoulder and relaxes because you have learned how to carry it. Your heart glows with the memory of 3 minutes that turned into a lifetime of permission. You step forward again, not as a performance, but as your truest rhythm returning to